It'd take you on my favorite walk, the neighborhood walk. So I've been working on building Train for the past few weeks full time, and still doing a ton of development, but a majority of my time has shifted to thinking at least about growth, about marketing. And I started recording some content with this DJI Osmo 3. So I wanted to just walk and talk. My favorite forms of content that I watch a lot are just people talking. So figured I'd do a couple of these, test this bad boy out. Yeah, I wanted to do this first one. It's a beautiful feeling when you're holding the camera. You got the cars driving by. You're like, who's this influencer? It's like, dude, I'm just going for a walk in the sun, trying to talk to my boys. Let me be. I think it's pretty cool though. Anyways, what I've been working on lately is basically taking all of this content on X, because for a long time I just deleted social media, which is great. I think it's one of the greatest things you can do for really anybody, because you can just actually be in the present moment. You can focus, you can get stuff done. Just leave your phone at home. But if you're running a business, what I'm realizing, especially right now, since building stuff is just becoming increasingly easy with all these AI tools, is that distribution is really where it's won. I mean, a lot of people are saying this. It's not just me saying this. And all of the information for how to successfully do distribution effectively is available just on X. You can either connect with accounts that literally just lay the format out of how they succeed. Like, there's just free information everywhere. Or you can just look at the actual videos that are succeeding. And I guess sort of what I'm getting at is approaching it less of like you're just gonna hop on and scroll, because then you'll wind up clicking on dumb posts, funny posts, and it becomes a form of entertainment. But if you can actually cultivate the algorithm to be useful, and you can actually focus and think while you're looking at the videos, think creatively, be like, how could I recreate this? How could this be valuable for something I'm working on? And it becomes just like a playground of just tons of useful information. And the algorithms will very quickly just get attuned to whatever you're looking at. So you can spend literally like 10 minutes a day, not even a day, spend 10 minutes one day, and then the next day go on, you'll just have so much information. But where I'm bringing this is that there's so much information that it becomes that like double-edged sword, where it's like, all right, well, what do I actually do? Like, I can do this works, this other approach works, I could do this. But then you see another post of like why that doesn't work. And I guess like the core of what I'm realizing is that you just need to do something with your own genuine creativity and perspective applied to it, and then just do that a lot. At some point something will likely work. Maybe it doesn't work for someone else, it works for you. And so it's this balance of like copying, but also just doing your own thing, putting your own spin on it. I really like, reminds me of Rick Rubin's quote where he says, something along the lines of like copying isn't copying, it's collaboration. And it's like, obviously, if you just blatantly copy something, but if you think about it, most forms of collaboration, or inspiration, I should say, is like you're in some way or another taking an idea from someone else or something else, but you apply it to whatever you're working on, it becomes novel. Hello. So I think it's the same applied here to all of the socials. Just figure out a way to collaborate with the algorithm. And I'm not an expert by this by any means, just getting started. But it's a ton of fun. My entire focus was on product development, using these AI tools for the past 3 years, really. It was like every time a new model would come out, I was like, oh dude, it can actually like write a for loop correctly. And then it was like, wow, it can like kind of produce a good button for this UI interface. And then it was like, wow, it can do the full UI interface. Then it was like, wow, it can actually build most of the app. And I still think a lot of that is, at this moment, a little wishy-washy, where like you can build like prototypes quickly, but to build something that's production ready is incredibly difficult, even with the current tool set, unless you keep everything extremely focused, keep the feature set extremely focused. Because even with like really simple implementations, at least what I've learned is that there's just so many edge cases you just don't think of. I was listening to this is like semi-related, speaking of edge cases, but it's like the TBPN podcast. Really have been liking listening to them lately, and they did a killer job with just the whole format of the thing and how they leverage clips and everything. But he was talking about how they have this regulation they're putting together to put like a sensor in cars, mandated by the federal government, in order to see if you're drunk. And if you are, like if it senses you are, you won't be able to start the car. And it was just funny. He was like, well, what if you're drunk, but you're in the middle of a hurricane and you need to drive away to survive? It was like, well, if you can't drive, you're drunk. And it's like, well, technically in that edge case, there needs to be some handling of that so that doesn't happen. And I guess, and they mentioned this too, is where my mind went, is that you could have some sort of agent that recognizes, oh, there's a hurricane, here's the location they're at. It's not driving, they're drunk, but we should override the system. But then at the same time, you implement that solution, then you might have like 1,000 other cases that the agent just makes the wrong decision. And so, again, like even with something in that case, I don't want to say simple, but like you're putting a sensor in a car, you have these like crazy edge cases that start to pop up. It's the same thing with any app. Like you just start to run into stuff that you would never think of that just breaks the app in production. So it's an absolutely beautiful walk. What I love about Palo Alto is that every single house is a little bit different, at least in this area. You go to the East Coast and it's like every house is like copy paste, bang, 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 bang. But here it's like you'll walk by a modern 2025 house just built with like a garden in the middle, and then the next house will be like a shack with like a jungle around it. But yeah. Peace out. Enjoy. Have a good one.